Oh, all right. Since we mentioned Boston, we still have the bloody sock, but nevertheless, the thing that was in it was, who knew? It's tough to associate 2004 with this guy, but ladies and gentlemen, Curt Schilling, did he ever serve any jail time for all that, or he's just like, did he ever have to pay back
Rhode
that
Island
money?
stuff? Yeah. I think he still owes Rhode Island quite a lot of money. We'll look up the actual figures there.
I do agree.
He joined Jesse Waters to discuss the forces on the left and how the LGBTQ community has really infringed upon his freedoms, I guess.
It's sad.
So sad.
Guy.
But it's a sad day. And the problem is, Jesse, if you look at, I love coming on this show. I love talking to you. I love what you've done, what you're doing, in your voice. But the fact of the matter is, I'm tired of listening to Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz and Dan Crenshaw and all these people talk. That's all they're doing. They're talking. We're up against a side and a force that doesn't play by the rules, refuses to play by the rules, just look no further than the unconstitutional legal thing going with former President Trump. And we're not doing anything about it. We're talking about it, and we get excited and we get emotional. That's it. They break the law. They do the things they need to do to ensure their agenda is driven forward. And we're watching them gut our nation from the inside out. And I don't know where the rubber's going to meet the road, because, it's true sacrifice. You look at the guys the young men that signed the Constitution and all the things that they sacrificed everything to come out from under a tyrannical government. And then eventually at some point, there was a man at Concord who decided.
You read history.
Yeah.
What did they sacrifice? I mean, I know there was a war, obviously. I mean, a revolutionary war. But a lot of these guys were basically, it was sort of enhancing their business prospects, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, there was a massive land rush after we got rid of the yoke of the British settling upstate New York, particularly.
And,
that was the wealthy people who got most of that, but.
They sacrifice so much, and that's why he's going to go on Jesse Waters' show. But let's continue with this, and also a special bonus if somebody can tell me what's written on his T-shirt.
It says and shirt, right?
Yeah, it says mean tweets on his hat, I think, but I don't know. I can't see the T-shirt fully.
All right, here we go. Where's he going with this? Go back just a little bit.
Our nation from the inside out, and I don't know where the rubber's going to meet the road, because it's true sacrifice. You look at the guys the young men that signed the Constitution and all the things that they sacrificed everything to come out from under a tyrannical government. And then eventually at some point there was a man at Concord who decided he was going to pull the trigger. And I feel like we're getting back to a point where somebody's going to have to pull a trigger. Because everything we hold dear, everything this country was founded on, is being just dragged through the mud and mocked and made fun of. This country was founded on godly principles. No matter how offensive that is to the left, it's true.
Well, I'm going to assume that you mean pull the trigger metaphorically.
Absolutely. Well, no, I mean, it doesn't matter if I say metaphorically, because they're going to run with that quote no matter how I put it. I could have phrased it in any possible way, saying stand up and fight and blah, blah, blah. And I would be inciting a riot while Maxine Waters says, get in their face. And
no, I understand. And I've said this to Jim Jordan.
Yeah.
I've said this to these congressmen. They throw a subpoena around. They fire off a really bold letter. Gotcha. Republicans need to go on the warpath. And that means they got to use every tool necessary. They got to do what's being done to them, because that's the only way this is going to stop.
When he compared it to somebody pulled the trigger at Concord, that's a metaphor. He's just an expression, isn't it?
Someone finally got fed up and shot a gun, and and things started getting better.
I mean, nobody actually pulled a trigger at Concord, did they?
They metaphorically did. They said, "Hey, representatives, do what we elected you to do."
We need to fashion some new legislation, I said on the not battlefield in Concord.
This is from, speaking of a shared sacrifice, Bloomberg, this is from PC Gamer, but write-up of a Bloomberg report. Bloomberg reports that former baseball player Curt Schilling's company will pay many of its former staff members about 14% or 20% of which each employee is owned, respectively, according to bankruptcy documents. When 38 studios shut down and declared bankruptcy in 2012, it failed to pay its 400 employees their final paychecks before the studio ran out of money and shut down in May that year. 4 years after the shutdown, 38 studios reached a financial settlement in court with the state of Rhode Island, which had loaned $75 million to Schilling, meant to support the studio's projects for several years, though the Rhode Island Economic Development Court. So yeah, I mean, you're welcome to those taxpayer funds, Curt.
Well, in taxpayer funds, and he basically stole from his employees.
Oh yeah, you're welcome to.
Because he pocketed that cash. Yeah. What a lunatic! And what was that a metaphor for? Like, he's saying the politicians are just talking. Like, what is exactly that they should be doing?
Even if, like, I think he actually wanted to say, like, somebody should shoot a gun, just not me, because I'm Curt Schilling, I'm too important to do that. But even if you were to take it as that's like the Mott and Bailey, right? You this sort of argumentative technique where you take a maximalist position, and then when you're called on that position, you retreat to a more defensible one, which is like, oh yeah, I just mean like they should exercise subpoena power and stuff like that. It's like, if the Republicans had the power to do that stuff and to like actually indict Hillary, they would have done it. They just didn't actually have the heft behind them.
Well, and look, the Trump administration investigated, again, we mentioned this yesterday, the Clinton Foundation. If they wanted to bring charges, they could have. If they found anything, they could have. But they couldn't find anything. That was the problem.
It wasn't that they decided, oh, this is going to set a bad precedent.
Yeah, we don't want to do it. We're too shy.
It might, this will upset the norms of the country. So we found this stuff about the Clinton Foundation, but we're just going to let it lie.
I don't understand how you cite Concord and then say it's a metaphor. It's what it is. It's a call to, literally a call to arms. Right. Donnie Durr, I work in liability insurance, and PFAS have been excluded on all our policies for over 2 years now, similar to nuclear or lead. Other companies are starting to do the same because the stuff is everywhere and it's impossible to find out who's using it and for what. Lawyers have said it's in so much, it's probably going to be impossible to even know how to get it got into people in most cases. Doom. I'm really sad because I was teasing out the human race because I like you guys, but I'm getting disgusted. I feel old with all the new ways you inflict damage without me having any say. Doom. Leftist Moses. How do we get the pitchforks out over this? Like, how evil are these freaking vampires? I hate this country so much. Shake my head. Patton from Ohio. The revolution will not spare used car salesmen. Titanic Visitor Center. For a limited time, we are offering free passes to any billionaire named Elon Musk. Come see the glorious Titanic up close. We guarantee a magical experience you'll get lost in. Lux. With your stated intent to try and do to Tim Pool what the show did to Dave Rubin, would you consider bringing up just how insanely violent Tim Pool has been on queer folks? He has taken a position to the right of Matt Walsh fairly often. If you Google Tim Pool and Club Q, you can see him talking about wood chippers. He's always trying to pretend he's middle of the road while he's sliding in full-on genocidal language before most. Bradley, we make a note of that. Josh from Tucson. Powered Parents Super PAC sounds like someone's mommy and daddy giving their child money for their campaign. Brandon Tartikoff. Santos bail contender Brandon Straka. See above. Oh, where does Brandon Straka getting his money? Speaking of George Santos, spotted this a few months ago. Always fun when the characters from the MRCU show up in the news feed. Here is Anthony DeValder, aka Santos, praising and interacting with everyone's favorite January 6th FBI informant and walker away, Brandon Straka. Where's Straka going to get that kind of money? No, nothing doofus. Dingus. Hello, Sam. Can I get a shofar for my birthday tomorrow? Emma doesn't have access to the soundboard, and Matt making a horn noise isn't the same.